Happy Monday and welcome to your Mental Health Mini. This week's guest is Jay Fields and we are talking all things emotional intelligence.
The reality is early in our life, we get these blueprints for what it means to be a good person and what it means to relate and what we do with emotions and that sort of thing. And so whatever you saw modeled in your home growing up is what most people tend to do. Even if what they want to do is something different, will default to it. So in my family, emotions were something to be figured out. Like, we'll figure out why you feel that way and we'll fix it. Self-sufficiency was a strong value in my family. So it'd be like, you can do this, you can get through this, as opposed to like, ouch, that must really hurt. Like, I totally get how you would feel that way. As an adult, my default is to go to figuring it out or telling myself, like, it's not that big a deal. You can do this, you're strong. And it's not that those two things are bad. They're absolutely great. But the first part that's missing for most people is resonance. A grown-up saying, your feelings make sense to me. You're not crazy. I've felt those too before, and I'm here. Or you're strong. Look at all the ways you've gotten through things in the past. This is resilience and building that. But without that first resonant place, eventually the person gets the message, my feelings must be weird and off because I'm having this experience that feels super big to me. And the people who love me and care for me don't seem to think it's that big a deal because they're not meeting me and seeing me in it. I must be weird and these emotions must be out of proportion. And so we get even more untrusting of our inner experience. And that's where kind of those patterns of people pleasing or becoming enmeshed with other people happen, because you no longer trust that your inner experience is appropriate. And you're looking to like connect with someone else's outer experience to be okay. What can we do about this? The first step is to start to have some connection to your body. When I'm talking about becoming more aware in your body, I recommend that people find a felt resource. A felt resource is anything in your body in the present moment that you can experience as either pleasant or neutral. So for example, feeling my feet on the floor is pretty neutral for me. If you can find in the present moment something that's either neutral or pleasant, and you're having an unpleasant emotion, you now have two things happening. You have two layers of experience. You have the heat and the tightness of anger. You have the neutrality of my feet on the floor. And what that does is it makes it so that that heat and anger don't overtake you or flood you so much that you go numb, because you have this other layer. The way I like to talk about it is, this is true. This is also true. It's true that I'm angry and feeling overwhelmed. It's also true that I can feel my butt in my chair. So my whole experience isn't awful. And then from there, naming it. If you can name it, literally brings together the part of your brain that can understand your experience with the part of your brain that's having the emotion. And that's integrated for your brain and then helps your nervous system to regulate. And if you know what the feeling is, then it's about offering self-empathy. Of course I feel sad. Of course I feel anxious. Of course I feel elated. And it's your way of saying, I make sense to me, because our brains don't like dissonance. Our brains don't like when your body feels like you're really freaked out and you're telling yourself, it's cool. But if your body feels freaked out and your brain goes, it makes sense to me that you're freaked out, you put it in context, and of course your anxiety makes sense. It doesn't mean you like it, doesn't mean you want it, but it means it's not dissonant. What I tell the people that I work with when we first start doing these exercises is that what it's doing is it's basically you creating a felt sense of being related to yourself, creating a relationship to yourself that you become trustworthy to yourself. You become trustworthy that you will validate yourself and your feelings. From there, you build self-confidence, you build self-worth, you build, again, that sense of trust. And from there, that's the foundation of changing every behavior. If I have trust in myself that I'm going to show up for myself, if I have a big, hard feeling, I'm more willing to disappoint someone else versus try to please them at my own expense. Embodied self-awareness can feel like a big, hard, scary thing to do when you're feeling that lack of connection to yourself. But doing it helps everything in your brain to go, oh, this is okay. You just have to start dipping your toe in the water. Trust that your brain will come along with you. Right now, the stories you tell yourself about it are like, whoa, this is going to be hard. But all the physiology is there to support you in it, especially if you're kind to yourself through the process.
If you enjoyed this mental health mini, you can listen to the full episode. It is episode 131 featuring Jay Fields. A link to the full episode is in the show notes. As always, make sure to leave a review, subscribe, share with a friend or family member, and follow at She Persisted podcast. Thanks for listening.